So I've been very interested in North Korean human rights for years and years. And North Korean defectors started coming to the US because of the North Korean Human Rights Act. And I got to meet some North Korean defectors because of the work that I was doing, for North Korean human rights. And it became obvious to me that there were a lot of North Korean defectors who were living in the United States who really had very uncertain immigration status. They didn't really know how to get work authorization. They didn't know how to get a green card. They didn't know how to naturalize as US citizens. And there just seemed to be a great need. And so I started to represent North Korean defectors who needed to get work authorization or to get a green card. Human rights of people in North Korea, if anything, has gotten worse since the act was enacted, because Kim Jong-il was the leader of North Korea when President Bush signed the law, and Kim Jong-un is even a more brutal dictator than his father was. So the human rights situation in North Korea is worse, I think, than it was. But now there is an opportunity for North Koreans to come here because of the North Korean Human Rights Act. And so I think there are more opportunities for North Koreans who might not want to go to South Korea. And even though there are many challenges for North Koreans who come to the United States, I think there are more opportunities. And in some respects, it is safer for them to be here than in South Korea. From what I understand, North Koreans who live in South Korea are discriminated against. Their accent is a little bit different, and so they might suffer from discrimination. It's harder for them to find a job. It's harder for them to adjust to capitalism. And I think they feel that there is more of an opportunity for them here, because people in the United States I don't think that they pay as much attention to the difference between a North Korean and a South Korean. I guess they have common experiences with other refugees, but they have come from a far more harrowing experience than other refugees that I've worked with, just because the government in North Korea is so awful, and people who live in North Korea live in such fear and are in such danger from the evils of their government. So one that comes to mind is I was helping a North Korean naturalize as a US citizen, and he was having his interview at the immigration office, and the immigration officer said to him, "Why did you leave North Korea?" And that's just such a silly question. And so he looked at her as almost like he didn't understand why she would ask that question. And he said, "For freedom." Like, why else would you leave North Korea? That story, I mean, that happened probably 15 years ago, but that story is still stuck with me over the years. And also just going to naturalization ceremonies, seeing people, North Korean citizens, become US citizen, that's always very, very moving. The language barrier, for one, which obviously they wouldn't face if they go to South Korea. So the language barrier, being able to find a job, being able to understand the American healthcare system, for example. So I'm also a healthcare lawyer, and so I've helped a lot of North Koreans get access to healthcare in the United States. That's difficult. That's a different experience for them, and so that's also something that I think is a challenge. I think they overcome the challenges by just working very, very hard, trying to assimilate into our culture. So I have North Korean defector clients. I've a couple who've opened sushi restaurants. I have some North Korean defector clients who are graduate students now at very well-known universities in the United States. They work very, very hard. They try to learn the language. and just try to assimilate in U.S. culture.